Welcome back to the third episode of Tasca Lusa. As you see, we have the originals, Joey, me, and João, and we have a very, very, very special guest, one that's close to all of our hearts. She's been there for the rancho for us when we were in Bridgeport. She's known as a cookie lady, as some Jerseyans know of, because she makes the most bomb-ass cookies, as you can see.
She actually brought us.
She brought the stuff. She brought the stuff. I love her for that.
That's great.
We have Linda Duke. Thank you for coming on, Linda. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we're gonna get really deep. Joey, all week when we were talking, he's had a lot of questions for her.
Oh, God.
A lot of drama stuff that he wants to know about all that. And I wasn't part of the rancho, and I think Joanne wasn't either. So
I wouldn't say it's drama. I think it's just stories that
dude, I can't.
even I don't remember about that. I want to know more about.
Just to think that none of us were even thought of, and she was already in the rancho.
Okay, let's age me up a little bit. Thanks,
No,
guys.
guys.
Thank you.
Guys, she looks like she's 21,
Thanks.
and that's all you need to know. All right, she looks like she's 21. She gets carded all the time at bars when we used to go out and see the zoo at the Shamrock and stuff like that. So whatever. So we're gonna do. I want to say thanks for all you guys watching the YouTube video. The first one, it was the second episode of the podcast, Saudades. It got over 200 views in under a week. So we really appreciate the support and all the comments you guys are leaving. If you haven't, subscribe, like to that video, comment, and just comment what we can do better so you guys can enjoy it. And yeah, we really appreciate all the support. So we're going to start off with, like we did last time, it's going to be quick soccer, and then we're going to go straight into, the main point, the main whatever conversation that we're going to have. So starting up, it's going to be about the World Cup next year in Qatar. If you see, all these human rights, Germany, when they played the other day, it's crazy what's happening. They wore the human rights shirts, and it's crazy to see that the city of Qatar, or the country of Qatar, I think it's 6,000 deaths in a matter of when they got the bid for the World Cup, that all these construction workers are dying just to make these stadiums. And I guarantee these stadiums, after they're done, they're going to be like Vazios.
Yeah,
it was named by Nada after.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit. So João, just get a little bit closer to the mic.
Yes, sir.
The only thing I was gonna say is it'd be like Brazil, because you got I don't know what stadium it was. It was in the middle of the rainforest. That's literally a big bird
it's like
bath.
a jungle.
It's like a big bird bath now.
Yeah,
You had to take a ferry. My girl talks about that because my girl went to the World Cup in Brazil.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, it was a great experience. It was awesome for those 2 weeks that she was there. But people talk and people see them things now, and they're a shadow of what they were.
Dude, it's crazy that they put so much money into these things, and then it's they just don't use them after, and it just becomes part of the forest or rainforest, and it's a shame. And now with this whole human rights, it's incredible how 6,000 people or construction workers or more, I think it's more, that died, and it's a little fucked up. Well, it's not even a little; it's a lot fucked up, because it should be preventive. There should be safety measures and all that. So Germany, when they did their game, they went out. They wore shirts that all wrote out human rights, and I forgot what the other.
Norway. It was Norway.
It was Norway. Norway did the same thing.
Yeah, Norway had all T-shirts that had #human rights.
Yeah, it's crazy how FIFA or UEFA or whatever, they just don't really care. They just want to get these stadiums up just so they can have the games and get all that money and stuff like that. So
It was very
crazy.
big too, because it happened in a lot of big things that happened in Brazil. Was a big rule that Brazil had 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Was that they stopped selling alcohol in stadiums, and who was one of the biggest sponsors of FIFA?
Budweiser.
Heineken.
Budweiser.
That's for you, Frank. Joe even said it before the podcast.
And that was the biggest thing. I know, the prime minister of Brazil, all these people were speaking out on that, just on the alcohol.
Oh, yeah, dude,
because they had so many deaths, they had so many injuries, and people get into fights into stadiums, and that was a big thing. And on the Qatar, I know you and me are in the field, in the construction field, and we know what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. When you have to say no, when you shouldn't say no.
Yeah.
These stadiums in Brazil turned into jungles. These are going to turn into deserts.
Yeah, it's
probably nuts.
They're probably just going to reintegrate into the environment, and it's just going to go to shit. And then all those people that died, it's literally going to go for nothing, because the World Cup, it's going to be in the winter, and then it's going to be a couple months, and it's down.
I think that's the biggest fuckery of it all, because now you're changing the whole tournament into the December because of the weather in that country.
Dude,
and you just fuck up everything.
It's
gonna fuck up everything.
You also got to see, they're buying property to build these stadiums where thousands and thousands of people loses their homes because of the game of soccer. And yeah, game of soccer does bring a lot of money to the countries and everything, but they have to think about it. I know Brazil itself, they ended up losing hundreds of thousands of homes because of these stadiums where no one takes care of them now. They're literally deserted. Well, forest part of it.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
The whole thing of
it's
Qatar, I think Qatar's a little bit different because people that live in Qatar have money, and there's no really,
Right.
there is and there isn't. Like the working people, yes, they're probably the poor of the Qatar, but where these they're not building these stadiums in those types of towns.
No.
There, no fucking way,
No
dude.
way.
No
Yeah,
way.
no.
It's gonna be in the middle of the city of Qatar, where all these massive skyscrapers are. They're gonna build
Yeah.
probably five or six stadiums for the whole tournament, and that's what's gonna be it.
Well, and then don't forget, it's not just the stadiums, the hotels for people to stay, the traffic it's going to cause.
Oh yeah, all the tourism.
You ever heard?
coming in.
Have you ever like read up on the conspiracy with the Brazil? Because half the hotels weren't ready, and like players and were posting with like no sheetrock on the walls in the rooms and shit like that.
That's nice. That's good.
It's insane, bro. Because like the timeline, because like USA got it in 2026, right? But USA has the backing of all these NFL stadiums.
Oh yeah, they're all set,
There's
basically.
hotels in every fucking
Yeah.
corner in America. It's different. I personally have a really good gut feeling that it's not going to be in Qatar. I think something's going to happen where it's gonna either be pushed into England or USA is going to get it earlier. I have a real deep feeling about it because
Yeah, it's
you already
fucked
see it
up.
with Germany. You already see it with Norway. If Germany has the
fucked up.
balls to pull out of the World Cup, because it might get to that because
Yeah.
of all this.
Maybe.
Imagine, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
That's I don't know, but hopefully, like you said, maybe it will get pulled out, and maybe Qatar will maybe clean up their shit and get people to actually be more safe. But whatever.
It's
but
Qatar, it's not gonna happen.
But that's gonna that affects all the leagues because now. Going into since the World Cup's going to be in the winter, that's going to be mid like season. That's going to be like when Liga Nós is going,
It's December.
and then it's going to be like when the Premier League's going. So like you're going to have a lot of players playing the whole season of like their club, and then they have to go to Qatar and play. What is it like a month or 2 months? Play for the selección, like their national teams, and then you have to go back, dude. I can guarantee there's going to be a lot more players next year that are going to be injured, guaranteed.
I don't know. The only good thing I would say that would come out of it being in December is that a lot of these players are going to be in form.
I don't know, man.
I think a lot of these players would be in form.
But they're
gonna
going
be
to
tough.
have to constantly rotate. Sorry to cut you off, but like they're going to have to constantly rotate or else there will be injured. I do think there's going to be a lot of injuries, and which may slow down the time of their playing careers as well. Like that's a lot of tournaments. That's now don't forget the Super what is it, Super Europa or Super UEFA is going to be coming up as well.
I don't think that's
so-
gonna happen.
No, I don't think it's going to happen.
Well,
there's no way.
But they're on
There's
the
no
talks.
way.
They already said
Well, like-
they already said clubs that don't want to do that. That's,
Yeah.
Right, but now
fucked up.
that's Europa, Champions League, Euro, Mundial, all that. So it adds up to a lot of their form. Yeah, their form might be impeccable at that time, but they're gonna have to watch out on playing time, and injuries and everything else.
I think the only bad part is the heat that's going to be there. But
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think, because you think about it, right? The tournaments are normally you play a game every 3-4 days, more or less.
around there.
You're playing 3 to 4 games right now every week, every tournament, every league's playing 3 to 4 games every
Like
day.
Porto in o mês de abril tem jogar 7 jogos.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
It's
So
fucking insane.
I don't think that aspect of injuries, it might, but I think a lot of players, because you play a full season and then you have to go on national team, I think is worse physically on you than if you're playing mid-season, going to a tournament, and then having the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I think it'll be easier for them, and I think you'll see a lot more players in better form.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Maybe the underdogs will take it over.
You never know, because the
Yeah.
form is huge.
USA baby.
I'm not. All the underdog teams that you never hear about, they
Could
may
happen.
have a chance.
Could happen. All those big
Look-
big players are in big clubs, and those they have
Look
to
at
keep
Iceland
playing.
in 2016. That was a big surprise.
Yeah, it was a big.
I think as soon as you pass a group stage, and it's a knockout, I think
goes by fast.
I think it's 50-50 too.
Yeah, it's,
There's only certain teams I can see like, all right, this is a guaranteed win, but you're playing soccer, dude. It's nothing's
Yeah.
guaranteed in soccer nowadays.
yeah, it's
Everything's crazy. The amount of fitness and everything that's going
Yeah.
on with the game now, it's just
it's a lot.
yeah.
So This is before we're recording before the game, the Portugal who they playing again? Serbia game. We won 1-0 last game, which was horrendous against fucking Azerbaijan. That was so stupid, bro. Nós temos o melhor avançado no mundo, o melhor jogador e nem podia fazer nada, dude. It's literally a joke how we had to rely on an own goal to win against a fucking like I don't even know what kind of team. I had never heard any of those fucking players on the other team in my life.
Agreed. But I think
What are we doing?
I think I like taking good out of everything, right? So I think we played
We played good, but our final third, bro, we were playing so fucking slow. Like,
but that was the point I was gonna make. I think you have players like Andre Silva that's on 25 goals in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
You got a guy like Ronaldo that you just got to give him the ball. And I feel like everything in the back was solid. I think Nuno Mendes was fucking impeccable. He reminded me of a very young Fabio Quintrão, bro.
thank you.
A very young Fabio Quintrão.
There was a couple of tweaks, but overall he played.
It's his
very
first
good
game,
well.
bro. It's his fucking first
Yeah,
game.
he's only 18,
Well,
so
most what I could have taken from him, it was like those throw-ins. He could have done a little. You could have been a little quicker. Regardless than that, like he played an impeccable game.
Dude,
I
he
thought
throws
was great.
long, bro. He throws long.
he got
Oh,
that
yeah,
long
he
throw
got
in.
that long throw in.
That
yeah.
long throw in, but
Yeah.
they're hopefully they win against Serbia, dude. Hopefully it's an easier. I mean, it's gonna be a harder match, but we'll see, bro.
I think he's gonna go a lot differently in this game. I personally don't think Nuno Mendes is gonna start. I think he's gonna go either Cedric to the left
Nah.
or Guerreiro. I just
Guerreiro got dispensado or whatever. He got
Mario Rua then, right? He
Yeah,
brought him
Mario
out.
Rua
no,
didn't come in.
nobody.
He
He
never
didn't
called
call
anybody
anybody else
back.
in, so Nuno Mendes is playing regardless. I think.
Then no, he's
And-
playing
and-
Cedric. He's playing Cedric.
Unless he's
I-
playing
I-
Cedric at right back and then putting Cancelo at left back.
He'll put Cedric at left back. Cedric's been playing left back for Arsenal. I put money. He puts either Cedric or Cancelo.
I think
they're both starting today.
I think they put a 4-3-3. I think Ronaldo's going to be the main striker, and they're going to have Jota and
And
Pedro Neto on the other side.
I don't think Bernato's gonna start. I think it's gonna be Bernardo.
What do you think what's going to be the score?
I want to get 2-0.
See, now this is the tougher game that I think will ease by because they're more physical. You know, I think I said it when we did our predictions that we always fucking make it difficult against these fucking little teams.
Yeah, Danielle Antunes on Twitter, she even said that that with those like small weak equipes, Portugal always seems to struggle for some oddly reason.
Yeah.
Dude, South Korea, USA, all these teams over the years that we just can't fucking seem to beat.
It's
You know, and then we go back to the game. I think Pedro Neto had an awesome game.
Mhm.
You know, I don't understand what position he was playing because he played all over the fucking place.
Right.
Because again with the formation, I didn't understand if it was Bernardo Silva playing cam or it was him playing cam. But as soon as
They kept on switching.
as soon as he got to that left side, and then it was him and Mendes playing back and forth with each other, it was great. But I think we made a good point: is that we get the ball, we pass half field, and our final third play
That's
is
it.
so fucking slow. You got a guy like Andres Silva, like I said, that's on 25 goals.
Yeah.
You put the ball in the box, bro. This guy's making runs for those reasons. Put the ball in the box. We get to the corner, we do a little fita, and then we put the ball in the box, and then there's four guys there already.
That's what she said.
Exactly.
Oh God, that's Linda. She's gonna be making like those like quick remarks of like that's what she said type of shit. So this is why we brought her in, all right?
Yeah,
But well, hopefully they play better and we'll go from there. But
I just still hope they drug test that goalkeeper because that goalkeeper was on.
Dude,
fucking impeccable.
o Benfica vai assinar aquele guarda-redes e vai ser como o Sevillar. É o melhor guarda-redes que temos. Best in the world, dude. It's
and then not use them.
I'm not
use
gonna
him, yeah.
comment. I'm not gonna
He goes to the sub-23 just because.
It's all right. It's all right.
I'm
well,
not gonna comment.
well, we got that out of the way. Whatever. So we're gonna do the rancho facts of the week. I think you wanted to talk about rancho de Ada
Yes.
real quick. We'll get that out of the way and then
Kind of
I didn't think this
afraid.
was coming that quick.
afraid of
So,
what?
I'm kind of afraid.
So, como já sabem, todas os episódios que nós fizemos, damos pouquinho de um rancho. E esta semana vai ser o rancho Eira, que se não for para o Covid, este fim de semana era o aniversário deles. O fundador foi o Sr. José Martins, para mim um dos melhores tocadores de concertina, que está mesmo certinho, o homem. O diretor neste momento é o Sr. Timoteu e o ensaiador é Michael Timoteu. O grupo foi formado em 1994 e por eles um forte abraço e parabéns, que continuem para sempre.
Yeah, hope you guys keep I know it's tough right now, but hopefully next year you guys can, even all the ranchos that couldn't do their anniversaries, hopefully they do it, and parabéns por vocês and
continue on with what they finished off last.
Yeah, you know.
Well, because it's them and Vercoins. They didn't have two anniversaries. They didn't have an anniversary
Yeah.
last year.
Last year was canceled last
Yeah,
minute.
and they were
Yeah.
canceled this year. And I think Juan could be a testament to this. Is that Ada was very big for us because we went to their anniversary
Absolutely.
like 12 years ago. I think Linda, we went to their anniversary 12, maybe 13 years
so
ago.
long ago, she's
I'm
like, I
like-
don't remember.
And
We've
Nah,
been
it
to
was,
a lot.
It was longer than that because I wasn't still in the rancho.
I think it was 12.
there's still there's a video of Charlie like cursing out loud mid like dancing. So I
course
know
he
it
was.
was like
But that-
over that.
He must not have been near me because then I would have slapped him upside the head.
I think that
Don't
might
curse near me when you're
that might have
performing.
been. I think if I'm mistaken, that might have been Gil's and Shane's La Saida.
Oh,
That,
wow.
that jersey one, and that jersey one for us,
Then I wasn't there.
it was huge because that's like the parties, and that's around the time where I met Jess Brito, I met Tim, I met Mike, I met Machado, I met Lopes, I met all these guys I'm friends with now, and I'm still very good friends with now. 12, 13 years ago, bro, and you're still good friends with them.
It's
You know
crazy
who we're
how,
talking about, and
It's
it's
crazy
just
how Rancho like brings a lot of youth and even like older people together. It's like sometimes there's those cliques and where Rancho itself, when you dance with that passion that we always talked about in this podcast, like that seems to bring everybody together, which that's what happened when we first started going. down
Tiago,
there.
dude. Oh my god, dude, I completely forgot
Yeah,
Tiago dance.
Tiago.
Tiago danced there. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, dude, he's gonna fucking hit me.
What a mini Tiago over here.
Yeah. So
Save him some cookies.
so perfect segue onto why we asked Linda to come on. She's part of the Bridgeport Rancho where we all went. She was like, I wouldn't say the mom, but she was like low key the mom of like all of us. Always like, you guys need something? I have the first aid kit in the bag when we go on bus trips and
Oh
shit.
my
Like,
God,
I got the
do.
band-aids. You need the band-aids?
Oh
I
my
have
God,
them
I
right now.
do.
I have the band-aids. You need hydrogen peroxide? I'll pull this out real quick. I got hydrogen peroxide.
But then on a Friday night, we would go to Shamrock. She's like, "Yeah, I'm coming with you guys."
Fuck yeah, dude. We go to the bars, bro. Dude, the zoo. Yo, she was
I'm
a different,
still a lightweight.
different animal. But
The,
But before we talk about the rancho, we just want just so our viewers can know a little bit about you and stuff like that. So obviously back, I don't want to say back in the day because you're not that old. You're 21, you know, all that good stuff. What do you think? Obviously, how different was it growing up? Was it the Hollow where you grew up, right? The Hollow in Bridgeport.
No, I grew up on the east side.
Oh, okay. The east side. How different do you think it is? Well, obviously it's a lot different, but what?
Even the hollow is different.
Really?
Well, from when the rancho had first started,
Yeah.
it is a lot different now than it was. There was a lot more chops there, and I remember there's, well, I'm aging myself. The Portuguese bakery was actually right across the street.
Oh wow.
And now mind you, so they would be baking while we were practicing. So we would have break, and we would run across the street and
Oh,
buy
that's awesome.
fresh roll.
Oh, dude, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah,
Fuck.
talk about carb overload, but let me
who
tell
cares?
you.
You burn
it
that
was-
shit off
it
real quick.
Oh my God, it was so good. But it was one of those highlights. We would have middle of practice, we'd take a quick break, and
Yeah.
everyone was running across the street, to go get fresh bread, because fresh bread out the oven,
I
you
wish,
can't.
I wish, man. I
cannot
wish
touch
we
fresh
had that.
Portuguese rolls
Fuck,
out the
man.
oven.
that's when you guys
But-
used to dance at the club still,
Yeah,
right?
we were back at the club pretty much almost from the beginning. In the beginning, we had first started, it was actually Omanel's, and then we had moved to the club. And then it was a few years later that we had left and we were at Omanel's.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, was there more of a Portuguese presence there back in the day than it is like today?
Yeah.
Like a lot, like compared to all right, like the festas at the Bridgeport Club. Back then, was there a lot, like way more people compared to like now? Just
Yes.
because I remember when George Ferreira came to Bridgeport. Yo, I've never seen that parking lot of the Bridgeport Club packed like that. Like packed.
Now, mind you, so I grew up with this, and it was every festa here. It was, obviously it wasn't big like Ludlow, but it was huge. It was packed. There was, tons of people you knew,
Yeah.
and you did struggle to find parking spots. Now it's not so much, and it
Yeah.
didn't matter if it was a band or a DJ. We always had bands. I mean, sidetrack. You guys are way too young. Oh
I
God.
wasn't there. I wasn't there yet.
Oh my god.
I don't think I was thought of. So.
Wow, and we had
Dude, Sidetrack was the shit, dude.
And,
I
and,
never
no,
had
and then
that
we had
question.
I've never heard
Destiny
of
not
them.
too far.
Yeah.
There was quite a few bands that we had, and it was always a good show. And
Yeah.
then even at the club, if they had 3 days of bands, one would be a big band, but on the
Yeah.
it didn't matter.
Everybody would show up.
Every festa it was packed. It was awesome. I grew up in that, so that's all I know. I
Yeah,
grew up
it's-
with being surrounded by nothing but chops at a festa. Yes.
Yeah.
With so many people, there's always a fight or two at the end.
Oh,
'cause-
yeah,
but it's gonna happen.
so
But
normal.
it was never as bad, I don't think, as other events I've been to.
Newark Portugal Day weekend, baby.
You know, I mean, there was always a fight or two. Usually, it was always in the same spot. It was near the bar, and that was just because some idiot would drink too much. And you know, it is what it is. I get it. We've all gotten drunk
When
and
those
acted
super boxers
stupid.
are flowing, dude.
Yeah,
you don't
and
stop.
at that price, I mean, the
Dude, it's
alcohol
like
is so
$2.
damn
Yeah,
cheap.
well, back then it was probably even
Yeah.
cheaper. Back
Think
then.
about it. You
Why
go
do you
to the
think
bar now.
everybody
You
gets drunk at
exactly.
the club before going out to actually a regular club? It's-
Exactly. You go to the bar now. You're paying what, $6? I don't know. I don't drink beer, but it's what,
A
at
lot.
least $6, $7
A lot.
for a freaking beer.
A lot.
Freaking $18 for.
We went to
freaking whiskey for-
we went to this is a quick side check.
Sorry.
We went to our friend's birthday. They had it at this restaurant in Greenwich or whatever, bro. I saw a bottle of wine, $2,000 for a bottle
Jesus
of wine.
Christ.
Dude, we got a
Cristal?
I don't even know what the fuck. It was like some French bullshit.
There was
I
one that was like
whatever.
23, one was like 5,000. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll get your finest tap water.
Yo,
Thank you
facts.
and please.
And if you and like that, like if you asked for ice, it was an extra like 50 cent or like 20 cent type
yeah,
of
I
shit.
had to
But
get that neat.
so we got this like whiskey neat, fucking horrible idea. We should have put it on the rocks, rookie mistakes. But it was like $18 each. I was like, bro, and it was like fucking un golinho.
It was like a 2-ounce shot, and I'm
Yeah.
like, really?
Fuck that bullshit. But so, God. So when did you? How did you like first like hear or see the Bridgeport Rancho, or like did somebody like reach out to you, be like, oh, we're doing this? Do you want to like?
Well, don't forget, I'm one of the original members too.
Oh, yeah,
So
but-
when it started, I was there. I carried the flag.
How old were you?
8 or 9. Let's
You're
age me up there.
revealing-
I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I was only allowed to carry the flag, so I was still young.
Yeah.
And at that point, I really didn't know much about dancing. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know much about Portuguese dancing or anything like that. And they had started it. I think it helped. You know, one of the founding members was my cousin, Lisa.
Yeah.
So she helped start it. So they needed someone to carry the flags. Obviously, they're not going to have the adults do it
Yeah.
because we needed the dancers.
True.
Boom. So I was in there and I learned I carried a flag, and I was proud. I was like, woohoo, I'm doing something. Because at that point, I think, you know, growing up in the Portuguese community is different than nowadays.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
parents migrated
100%.
here. Many of us were firstborn generation here. The only thing, you didn't do soccer, you didn't do basketball or football. What did you do? You were with family, and festas at the church.
Yeah, you were with the job.
So then it was rancho, and because they were in Bridgeport, so it wasn't far. So luckily, you know, I started right when it had started. I wasn't dancing right away, which was maybe a good thing because at that point, I didn't even know anything about that stuff.
Yeah.
So it was the first thing that really pushed me into the Portuguese culture, but I mean, I grew up with
You
the
grew
culture,
up-
so
yeah,
I
you
don't
already grew up
know
with it.
anything that differentiates what's not Portuguese and what is. It's all I
Yeah.
know. And it was the one thing we did. Growing up, my mom is one of 8. Okay, I'm the oldest of the grandkids in that generation. There were 9 of us for many years until the 10th little one snuck in. And being a huge family, everything we did was family. And I know to some people it's not a big deal, but I think growing up that way, it is different because our closest friends were our cousins.
Yeah.
I mean, my sister's a year younger, then I have another cousin who's only a year. And then, you know, every year there's another younger. So
Yeah.
we grew up, birthday parties were family. Holidays, family. Rancho was the only outside of
Yeah.
family thing we did, and even that wasn't not family because it was
still-
me,
you still-
my sister,
exactly,
my cousin
yeah.
Danny, and Michelle. We were the flag carriers.
Damn. I remember you brought up a good point about like the whole like flag thing. Like, yeah, I'm carrying the flag. Like look at me. Dude, ain't nobody want to hold that flag no more, bro. Like
No.
that's like, bro, I want to be dancing. Like
I
wanna,
stepped up. I moved up. I've been, I got moved up.
and that's what I was saying. I don't know if it was the first episode or the second episode. We were talking about rancho. I was like, when people left the group and I was still there, I was always like, I wanted to be in the back. Like that was my thing. Like I pushed for me, like myself, to go in the back because I knew I saw Joey at the back, I saw Jeff at the back, I saw Brian at the back. I was like, dude, I want to be in the back to like, you know, it looked fun, and I was like, all right, I want to do that. And then took me a while. I was always in the middle, hated that shit, but it is what it is. I did it, and I eventually got back there, and I fucking loved every second of it when I was back there because I was either dancing with you, or I forgot who. I think it was Selena, maybe. It was usually you during practice. Like it was almost always you at practice when I was back there, but. Yeah, like going back to that, like now kids nowadays, bro, they just don't have the passion like you see it like back in the day where they push themselves to like, all right, I gotta learn like how to dance well so then I can dance at these citas. Now it's like there's not a lot of people going to like join groups, and then they just don't have that like that
We
push.
also don't have as many audience watching
too.
it, and I don't care what
That
anyone
too.
says. It does make a difference. You know, I've never been one that's sitting there like, oh, I'm gonna show off. I want to dance. I need to be the best dancer in this group. No, I dance because that's just the passion
Yeah.
in me. Like I said, it was my second family growing up.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I was only 8 or 9 years old. I've always enjoyed music. I love dancing. I've always done it. I was actually doing dancing school, rushing out of dancing school, eating a burger and fries in the car, changing
Hell
out of
yeah.
my tights to go to dance practice.
Hell yeah,
And
that's
at one point,
dedication.
because at one point we were having dance practice twice a week, and
I
that
wish.
practice was to
I
learn,
wish.
and help teach the newer people.
Yeah.
And so literally, I would get out of dance class, ballet, tap, and jazz, to rush over to rancho.
Oh, you fancy.
Yeah,
You
I
fancy,
mean, I was
fancy.
no.
Yeah, 'cause it's funny because I remember when Linda was pregnant with the twins,
Oh,
we would always get rides with John inside the hood, and it was funny because I'm always gonna remember this one practice where I was in front of her and she was a boy, and she was pregnant, and like she literally we're dancing backwards, and she just like put her hands right in my back and like stopped me from going back because I was getting close to her.
I think-
Bro,
I threatened so many people.
Dude, I think it was. I actually think it was one of the Saidas. We ended up going to Elizabeth. I
Yes.
believe
Oh
she,
my God.
She was dancing behind me with Brian, and she literally was. It was literally raining, pouring. They actually had to delay us a little bit so we would dance after. And
I remember
mind you,
that
she was like, I believe it was like 7 or 8 months pregnant. And mind you, hey, like props to you for dancing.
She's a real one, man.
That's twins. It's not just a single
But-
baby. It's twins.
And
she
that was when everyone found out I was pregnant.
Yup.
Yeah,
It was that
facts.
Saida because I
Yup.
couldn't stop crying.
Yeah.
And
Why are you crying?
literally, she was terrified of dancing that Saida because of how slippery the floor was.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Where it was, I think it was like to a point that she felt like she was slipping. She ended up like gripping, I think Brian's arm, if I'm not mistaken.
guy.
And like, I'm pretty sure she like digged in as her nails so deep that he goes, "I'm so sorry." And but like, you know what? I gotta give her props, dude. You're like,
bro,
but she was always
Our
like,
group was weird with that though, because we've had a few females that were pregnant in dance. Like Trish danced a couple times pregnant. My sister Paula
Yeah.
danced a couple times pregnant. It was
If
just
it's something you're always doing,
Yeah.
and I've
Oh,
been
you're-
doing
you're
it for
you're
years,
comfortable as
and then
fuck.
you stop, it's actually worse damage. It's the same thing. You don't stop. There's no excuse. My body's used to it. I don't need to stop. The only reason I didn't dance at that anniversary was because my uniform didn't fit and the string to my skirt popped.
bro, she would have been
And
fucking.
I didn't know if it would happen. I remember that anniversary I actually cried, but off subject.
all of a sudden,
I remember.
pops a kid
I
in the
remember
middle
we
of
went
the
to
stage.
Was it Yonkers, where like we had like 4 or 5 seaters in a row, where like John and Trish were driving separately, not coming on the train, not coming on the bus with us, because they kept thinking that she was gonna pop.
We didn't know.
It was the Massachusetts trip.
No. Dude, this was Ev was like 15. You weren't even fucking here yet.
It was closer
No,
to
but I've
October.
heard-
It was right. So
You
it
weren't
was
even here yet.
Yeah, I
September,
was hearing
October.
things.
It was September, October. Yeah, because she was
And
doing
she was
October,
October.
so they would drive because if
We
she
never know.
I
went
think we
into
went-
labor, they got to book it.
I think it was in Yonkers. We had a seat in Yonkers, and it was like, dude, we finished dancing, and we're like, yo, where's John?
See ya.
Gone.
Bye. It
Gone.
was nuts, bro. It was
Gone.
crazy.
So I know Joey all week. This man's been telling us that he's got so many questions. He wants to know all the secrets, the dramas back when he was younger, because he was young when Linda was dancing and stuff like that. So Joey, the floor is
Well, I
yours.
wouldn't say it's like drama and shit like that, but like there's like certain things where obviously I wasn't around for, like, but I remember when I was coming through, there was somewhat of a little kid group still. Like our groups were separate. We had a little kid and we had an adult group. But I think that time, if I'm not mistaken, Lelu was still very big in charge on a lot of things.
Yeah. When we had the little group, we were still at the club.
Yeah. I'm getting to that because I don't think a lot of people realize, 'cause you have videos of that old little group and like everyone's like, yo, who's that little guy? Who's that little guy? It's like, oh, that's fucking Michelle's brother, bro. And and nobody knows that because Michelle's brother is the most non-Portuguese person you ever met in your life, if you actually like talk to him. But like, he was dancing, he was doing all that stuff. But like, I think a very big difference to what it was back then to what it was as soon as I started going into the adults, we got rid of that little kid group, and we started putting little kid songs into the adult group.
Yes and no. From what I remember, and can't quote on it because I was young. When we left, I don't want want to be politically correct. When we left the club and we went to open house, a lot of our members had left. At that point, you know, a lot of parents, when it comes down to it, they weren't comfortable going to open house, or I don't know if it's that old school mentality of, you know, the dad would be like, oh, I'll take them, because then while the kids were up practicing, they were downstairs hanging out, playing cards, playing sweka, playing whatever they wanted to do, having a beer. And then when it came to it, and a lot of them were sauciers or members of the club, so it was different. So when we went to Omanel's, a lot had changed. A lot of our demographics had changed. A lot of our older members even had left. I don't know if it was the area at that point. They just weren't. Oh, yeah, Marco, help yourself.
You guys know it.
As he mentioned earlier, I'm known as the cookie lady, so of course I did bring cookies.
Yeah, dude. If y'all never had our cookies before, y'all missing out on life, because they're probably the best cookies you've ever fucking eaten in your entire life.
Oh, they're so good.
They're people from Jersey. Our buddy Tiago doesn't even know Linda's name, just the cookie lady.
Yeah, one day you were
Fuck
at
it.
my house and you had said, oh, I'm at the Twins. Oh, the cookie lady. Okay, damn.
Yeah, literally. But
So good.
sorry to interrupt.
But I remember me coming through. There was a little kid coming. There was a little kid group coming back
I think we were planning on it, but it didn't end up
because it was
happening.
It was me, it was Mikey, it was Brian, it was Joey Alves. There was a couple other kids too, man. And dude, I remember dancing a couple. Like I think I have videos.
But it wasn't as much of the little group as it was when we were at the club. When we were at the club, we were literally our own little. I mean, we did a few. We had a lot more little kids. It's almost like, remember a few years, maybe 10 years ago, we had a handful of the younger kids who only danced, you know, like they did Saki or Vertakayu and, you know, some of the simpler songs where only they do. And we took out the older ones almost to give the older ones a break. It was happening, but I think it just didn't happen. I don't know if it's the politics, the drama, and, oh, well, why is my kid dancing with them? And how come she's not, you know, I've been here, my daughter's been here longer, but why is that little girl dancing with the older kids? And after a while, it ain't worth the drama, the politics, and the headaches.
But I think
it sucks, but it is what it is.
I get that point, but I think it would have been, like, I think after the politics and after all the arguments, it probably would have been more beneficial to the group. Personally,
could have been. I get what you're saying. No, I know what you're saying because you learn.
Yes.
But then
but it's almost like that graduation period where, like, all right, you learned these songs, you worked on it. Okay, now we can start pushing you to the adult group.
Yeah.
We could start gradually, because now you're just like, all right. Let's be honest, Louding Dean, you really don't need to know anything. You go in, you're walking around. You know, it's almost like, but for me personally, bro, I hated it. Especially when I was
that song.
No, I hate.
No offense, John.
Dude, but it's crazy, bro. Even before Vertagayu turned into this, okay, we're doing all these different things with the music. Okay, we're cutting music off at this point. Vertagayu, dude, used to be a beat ass song, bro. Back in the day when we first started dancing.
How fast did we used to play
it? But that's we slowed it. But we slowed it down. We slowed it down because we had kids dancing it. And again, me personally, I thought it was more detrimental to the group because now you have, like, okay, I was still young, but I'll give other examples like Jacques or Shane or Gil. Now you got guys like this that are dancing these slow songs. It gets boring. Personally, I'm coming.
No,
I'm not speaking for. I'm not speaking
Trust
for
me,
them.
I've been in the group how long? I've been dancing for how long? Trust me, I get it all.
You know, and I think that's like a very big, at least for me, that was like a big thing because I wanted. Around the time I left, I had a vision and I knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted to see this group going to, and I don't know how to word it, but I knew that I couldn't get to it. I knew I couldn't change somebody's mind to get this to this. And then I left 3 years later, and then we had a little kid group dancing 2 songs at the anniversary. But again, that's not my problem. But you know what I'm saying? It's just that was a big thing. And then, how old were you when the group split?
From
when the club and then the church started.
Had to have been.
This was what, 92, 93?
No, we left the church. Let's see. It was right after our 3rd anniversary, so it must have been around 94. It must have been about. I must have been about
So
probably
there
like
was
11 or 12.
There was one rancho and it ended up splitting.
And
into
it split it to 2.
So did you?
A lot of our members said, like I said, a lot of them didn't go with us to Omanel. So a handful of members. It wasn't right after, but shortly after, another rancho started that belonged to the church, and not all. There was a handful of members that went with them. Hey, each their own prerogative.
And
That
longevity
shows,
of all look who lasted.
But that shows to be on how big the community, the Portuguese community, was back then, where everybody was interested in dancing or being a part of a rancho.
It was enough people that we were able to have two full huge
Right,
groups.
and that's, I think, like, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, all four like big Portuguese communities in Connecticut had it. It was like Danbury had the club and the church. I think Waterbury had the club.
Waterbury had the club and the church.
No, that was
Or
only one.
sorry. Waterbury was only the club because I started my first rancho experience was
started
there.
at the church, right?
Started at the church, and then they went to the club after.
Waterbury?
So you was never 1 and 2?
John before the Waterbury's older than Bridgeport.
I know.
Waterbury started, and they're not too much older. They're maybe like a year or two older. So John found out about Bridgeport, was going to Bridgeport, and John, whenever I know you reach out to us, so we want to get you on. So we'll clear up the story after.
The veteran, the OG veteran.
John, I remember John telling me the story, and John was always like, I remember because my Aunt Lauda sang for the church at the time. So my cousin John found out about Bridgeport, wanted to do it, started going in the beginning when Bridgeport started because Lisa and all these other people were reaching out for people. So then he heard about Waterbury, but Waterbury knew that he was going already to Bridgeport, so he would show up to a couple practices to Waterbury to see what it was all about, and a lot of people were giving him the cold shoulder. And I know how that feels because I remember growing up and trying to watch Waterbury practices, and they would like shun me the fuck out. But again, it is what it is. Back then, and another thing I was gonna get to, back then in like the early 2000s, the late 1900s,
there was a rivalry between.
that
shit was
around
That goes to show pride and passion.
Yes.
Believe it or not.
I'll never forget. There was a day when I was I left Waterbury and I was at the Bridgeport for like a couple years. I think I was already dancing now. I remember at the Waterbury church there was a fest and Waterbury was dancing at night, and I remember it was literally like the Bridgeport, like there was multiple like group members, dancers and stuff. We were just chilling on the rocks watching them like dance like all together. Bro, I never felt like I never felt like a rivalry in my life because I never played any sports or whatever. But dude, I felt like that literally, I felt that rivalry.
And it wasn't that strong back then. Already,
Yeah.
Because the early 2000s, bro. The early 2000s, Waterbury was fucking good, bro.
Yeah, they were.
The early 2000s, you had people like Gary. You had all these guys, all these big name.
Well, they were 15 to 21 and 22. You were doing because there wasn't, you really weren't going to the bar. You weren't doing this, but it was.
But even like the Hartford group at the time, the Hartford I think still had two groups at the time, and then the Danbury had two groups. No, well, I don't know about the church anymore. I think the church.
No, church still.
Is they still going? But that So how did you and Joey Salgado start dancing?
All right, so when, like I said, I started off carrying the flag, and I had wanted to dance, and I was told, no, you're too young, you don't know how, and of course all the other, there was a few other girls around my age, but they had been dancing before me, and I wanted to dance, and I kept pushing, I want to dance, I was going to every practice, I was watching, I wanted to dance. Oh, you can't do it, you're still too young, fine. And then it was, at that point, we were set partners, so now everyone's 15, 16 and older, and here I am, this little pipsqueak who's 10. We didn't have it. So then, I had been wanting to dance, and I'll never forget it, this one saida, we were dancing, it was 4th of July weekend at the club, and we were dancing on a Sunday, and that same day, we did that big parade in Bridgeport, not the little 2-mile one I'm talking about, that was like 7 miles. A lot of our members couldn't go. Now, mind you, at 15, 16, 17, they were probably all working. A lot of the members didn't end up going, so they needed dancers. So I danced the parade, and then we went to the saida, and it was like, well, wait a minute. She danced the parade, put her in, and of course, I had no clue what the hell I was doing because you can watch, but until you do it, it was not. And then I started dancing, and then he was with us while we were doing that little group. And because his dad was dancing, his dad was an active dancer. And then somehow, I don't know what had happened, they were like, put these two together. So for years, because we were the two youngest, we were set partners.
That's crazy how that parade thing came up because that's how I started dancing for Bridgeport
Was
too.
it a parade?
Yeah, it was the Columbus Day parade.
You danced Columbus Day, but they used to have this Portugal Day parade where we started at.
I like how Joel says we and like he remembers.
Well, no, because I did it. I did a parade where you started on the in Park Avenue and you went all the way to Seaside, which I'm assuming that's the one you're
what
talking
we did was
about?
4th of July. This one was started around Seaside. I think it ended up at Central. It's changed. It was like 7 miles. It was like.
But that's funny that how you started.
It was a long parade.
It's funny how you started with the parade, and I started with the parade. That's fucking insane. I didn't even know that. That's
So-
And
crazy.
then I started dancing.
Same.
we kind of mentioned how like out of everybody that's on the group, you still go out with us. Like you come drinking.
You the real one.
You know, I think because I remember big, dude. I remember big, like 99, 2000. We fucking did everything together. We would go to the beach together. We would go to Six Flags every year together. We would go to the Big E every year. Now, I think this is gonna get a little like deep because I think once we lost Harry, I think the group got very, very like it was almost like a thing where like everybody was really together. It was nuts. And I was still young. Terry died in what, 97? 97? I think it was 97. So I was 5 or 6.
This was when Marky was born, so 23 years ago.
So I think it was crazy, dude. We used to throw parties like once every 3 months at Gloria's house because Gloria had a massive pool. Everybody used to go. John used to throw bangers in his fucking front yard in his parents' house
Fuck yeah.
in Naugatuck.
Fuck yeah, John. That's
You
what I'm
know,
talking about.
we used to, dude. Like holidays when there's fireworks. We used to all go to fucking Derby and watch the fireworks off the highway.
That's what's up, man.
It's
That's
just
awesome.
we used to throw a fucking summer picnic where we used to have fucking 11v11 playing soccer in the middle of a park.
I think I've only went there once. Wasn't that in Bethany, right, or whatever? That like Arrowhead.
No,
Hamden.
we
You're
did it.
talking
We did
about-
it. We did it in Hamden one time.
Indoor.
The one you're talking
'Cause I remember
about
only
is the
one
that
picnic.
We joined,
Yeah.
like, I think it was Norwood Rancho.
Yeah, we
came
did. We
down.
tried to do
Yeah,
something that never really worked out with
I
everybody
wish it
after.
did, because that was a great time, too.
You know,
Facts.
but we did something like that all the time, bro. And I guess, man, maybe like after 2010, like we'd go to Rancho and like it looked like everybody fucking hated everybody. It was always they looked like it almost looked like people were there just all right. I'm still here. Like it wasn't fun anymore. At least I'm talking from my perspective because maybe you kind of feel the same way sometimes. I know you live for this shit. You're like me. I live for this shit.
Not
It's
as much.
you know, but because it's very. Because I'll go. I remember like a couple of my last practice. I remember my last saida, and me and my sister fucking screaming at each other.
Linda, you want one?
Oh my God.
Do you remember
I
that? At the end,
that
it was
one.
it was the day before the anniversary. We
I was
practiced.
prego.
We practiced.
So yes, I remember because I was pregnant at that one.
We practiced something, and we practiced the day before at the church. And like she said something stupid to me, and I was like, dude, I can't deal with this fucking shit anymore. I fucking started screaming back
and
at
she
her.
had just come back from her maternity.
Yeah,
Oh, was that with your sister?
I screamed.
Yeah, I
Me-
think I was at the. I think I
Dude,
was part of the range. when you
me,
were-
me and Paula went at it. And Paula, you know, it's the same thing with us because
Brothers,
we
sisters,
we
it
grew up like me and Linda from the same fucking town, in a little fucking area.
Sotelo, caralho. Sono Sotelo.
Sotelo.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like my grandmother and her grandmother are like first cousins.
I don't
it's
even know anymore. They're all related.
it's
In
some
those little
bullshit.
towns,
You're
it's
from
like
Sotelo,
we're all
Kutsosa,
It's
related.
all some bullshit like that. But like, yo, we used to always hang out. You know what I'm saying? We like,
Oh my God! Remember that summer in Portugal, and we sat there in the gazebo in front of my house, and we sat there dancing right.
Yeah.
Oh my
Dude,
God!
do you remember?
How crazy are we?
Do,
Like,
do you remember? Do you remember coming to my fucking Catholic school?
And we danced.
We danced. It was only me and her. She brought her little fucking camcorder that she still owns today and still records on. And
I
we
bought a
played.
new one. I upgraded.
We played songs off the camcorder and we were dancing Gritinha.
And then there's me and Joel, just not
I
nothing.
was playing tag. I was playing
Dude,
tag.
I was in Catholic school, bro. So I was probably like in the like first or second grade still. It was nuts, dude. But like, I think like the mentality, because we touched on it, like the mentality of back in the day, how we felt about it, and how we, dude, everybody was committed. We had parties, dude. Our anniversaries, bro. Before our 10th anniversaries, were dinner dances. They weren't. You know, you'd pay
Before
like
our 10th, it was a regular dance.
It was a regular
Not a
dance.
dinner, yeah.
So you'd pay like $10 to come in. You would pay your drinks, and then we'd have food for sale. And our parties were always packed. You know what I'm saying? Now, another big thing, because I think after the 10th we stopped inviting groups.
Because it was a dinner. Don't forget, we are, and then it's not to use excuse, we are a nonprofit. We don't technically belong to a club, and the anniversary is our biggest moneymaker. We have to raise up our own funds, whether it's a fundraiser or a festa or what. We don't have that extra home or that backing, and I know to some people it does make a difference. And if you're gonna invite another group, you feed the other group.
Yes.
And it does make a difference. You know what I mean? And not only that, but when it comes down to it, when you're eating dinner, or working it, because every anniversary I wasn't having fun at the anniversaries or partying. I was usually helping, doing what needs to get done, with the exception of working the kitchen. That's for sanitary reasons. But whatever needs to, I've been at the door every single anniversary that we've done a dinner, and we have to feed for another group. That is not free. When it comes, it is money. It's not free. We don't be like, oh, can we ask the club? Oh, can we? We need money to go on the bus, because at one point we were doing 4 or 5 bus seathers. Those motherfuckers are not cheap.
True. But like my thing is like a lot of these, because I'm in a nonprofit group now. Yes, we belong to a club, but we, the club.
Can't say the same.
The club lives off us. We live off the club. It's almost like a mutual thing, because our club isn't as big as the Bridgeport club, because you can't really compare. It's the same thing. I think Joan can vouch for what I'm trying to talk about too, because
absolutely,
Ossining isn't really that big of a club. Ossining's never. But we're all nonprofit. I think my because I remember when I threw like a festival one year, and it's just like I fed 4 groups and I still made money at the end of the day. Yes, we need to make money, but this is why you do parties all year round. Yes, we don't have a club, but you have places like Omanel that would help us. You have places like the club where we can have the hall for free once a year.
But don't forget, our community, not knocking it, not raising it, not saying it's better or worse than any, is different. We have a lot more people in a lot of our community, and it's nothing against Jersey, New York. I don't knock on other groups. Our people love to dance, and not necessarily rancho. I went to a festa, and it was a rancho festa, and a friend of mine was sitting there, and he loves to dance. He's all about the chop music, getting up, and he flat out told me, he goes, if I thought it was going to be this the whole time, I wouldn't have come, because yes, we enjoy watching, but after a while, guess what? If I'm going to a festa, I want to get up and dance. And the problem is when you have 2 groups, think about it, it's at least half hour, 45 minutes minimum. So the first hour and a half you're eating, so you're sitting there watching, then the band goes on for a quick half hour, then there's another half hour, 45-minute performance of the other group, 2-minute break, then another 45 minutes of our group, if not longer, because it's our anniversary, so we're doing the cake, the thank yous, and all the big thing. And then it's like, okay, so now you get to dance for half an hour and you're out. After a while, like, speaking as me, especially now me as a mom, when I go out, I want to go out and have fun, and you all know that. When I go out, especially when I don't have my kids, that's different.
She goes 0 to 100.
I am there to have fun. And no offense, but if I'm just going to sit there and watch, after a while, it's kind of like...
It gets boring.
No, it does. And I think that's the biggest problem is the communities are different. And there's nothing wrong saying this one's wrong or that. It's a different community. We do. And that in the... we say Bridgeport, but it's like the Connecticut, because it's a lot of Bridgeport and Waterbury. We have a lot of people in there who support us nonstop. But guess what? They want to... Paul Ray's from Bridgeport. Mm-hmm. If he's at a festa, that motherfucker's out on the dance floor like there's no tomorrow. You're telling me we're going to sit there and make him sit down for 2 hours? He'll do it, but at the same time...
He's like, what the fuck? Like,
he wants to... It's the same
as... if you're paying for a ticket, you want to make sure you take the best out of it.
But I think the point I was trying to get to, because we got to a point where we weren't getting invited anywhere anymore.
I know. That was the
you know what I'm saying? So like...
22.
Like the intercambio intergroups is huge. You know what I'm saying? So like... I remember us getting invited to like Ada. We'll touch on that, and then going to there, them feeding us, them giving us whatever they gave us, whatever, and us not be able to give that back to them.
Well, because you invite
to be invited.
It's an unofficial rule. It's an unofficial rule. You invite to get invited. We don't charge you, but it's an unofficial rule. You invite to get invited.
Sorry to cut you off, but like I also want to touch on that, because it's like. And me and Linda have actually spoken about this before. A lot of groups. I'm a speak for New York and and Connecticut more likely. Well, that was there before. It was the ghost. Film ghost.
What the fuck was that?
But it was like the Portuguese community in New Jersey. It's so much wider, and I'm saying like business and everything. And all 3 of us know that as a nonprofit group, a lot of the sponsorships counts a lot, and that means like food and everything. Like for example, I'm saying like, for example, restaurants wise, for example, like Casa is having an anniversary. All of a sudden, you have different types of bakeries saying, "Hey, we do it for this price, and we'll do it for this price. So the competition is so much bigger that you could throw in prices in ranges where everybody will profit, and the club itself, well, the rancho itself now will make a lot of money.
True.
So like for us, no, we have. I'm gonna say
we have a lot smaller.
We have
options.
such a small options. Like, what are we gonna have? It's either Omanel, or it's gonna be
All fire.
Yeah.
All fire. It was all fire. That's what they're
Fire
called.
at the time.
I mean, think about it. Even in Joey, when you were growing up, how many Portuguese restaurants alone were there in Naugatuck within a block?
Yeah.
Right?
There's
now,
still-
how many? It's
There's-
not, but
there's
they're
only-
not big. They're not as popular.
There's only one that's not there anymore.
Is it?
There's only one that's not there
Oh,
anymore.
see?
Socks.
Oh, that's
Sock
right.
sold.
They
Oh, so
sold
it was
2 years ago.
It was
because it was the actual Portuguese club, and then it was the
was-
one across the street. I
was
forgot what it was
Porto?
called. Yeah, it was Porto.
It was Porto,
Yeah,
and then it was
Saida.
Estoril.
Where was that?
That where Santos is. It used to be called Estoril.
No shot.
It used to be called Estoril.
And don't forget, Lisboa just closed down too recently.
We're talking
Water,
about
really?
we're talking about COVID days now, bro. It's just
Yeah, but
it's,
still.
Well,
Yeah.
even pre-COVID,
Regardless.
there's not as much
Oh yeah,
of
there used
that.
to be a lot, yeah.
Those businesses that
But
could
like
but like the whole
that's where you guys make more money, which is because of that reason itself. And
I remember
sponsorships.
I remember us going to
I
Ada,
can
and
only
everybody was like
imagine.
mind fucked that they were paying $50 for everything that they were getting. You know, but I think again it's just I get the point.
It's
And I
that
understand
reason.
why we haven't, but there's things we could have done back in the day. We could have thrown an outside party at the club.
hindsight is 2020. Is that expression?
I'm too Portuguese. I have no idea what that means.
But you get what I'm saying?
Coulda,
It's-
woulda, shoulda. It's one of
Yeah.
those things. It does take time to plan, and there's things we could have, we should have, you know, when we were big, and I think, you know, shortly after, you know, as when our group was really dominant, we'll say, this was also the how should I say, pre-Facebook era, pre-social media era. This wasn't a time where the only time you would have seen some of these people from, we'll say, all these other ranchers that you're friends with, you would have only seen them at a festa or in Ludlow, pretty much. Ludlow was the one time you sat there and met. You didn't communicate because guess what? We didn't really have cell phones, or you didn't have 10-year-olds with cell phones yet. So you weren't on Facebook becoming friends and developing even a relationship with all these. You only had your community.
Yeah.
And as we start growing and develop, even now, look, I'm a mom. I have my kids. My kids have done soccer. They've done karate. When I was their age, I only did rancho. Or I had, you know, I did do dance at school, but I didn't do anything outside of the Portuguese community. I don't know if it's just being basically the first generation born here, but we didn't have those little outlets. You know,
Well, I think-
growing up, Joey, when you were in school, did you ever get teased for even doing the fact that you
Nobody
had to play a
really
concertina?
Nobody
never-
really knew
I never
until
told
we
anybody.
danced.
But
until we
it's-
danced at
but
school,
yeah.
and then I got expelled from that school, and then I went somewhere else.
But growing up, what was the thing? If you played an
That's
accordion,
badass,
you're a dork. Think
Yeah.
about it.
No,
Family
yeah.
matters. It was one of those things that it was a dork. Whereas, but in the Portuguese community, the fact that you're fucking 10 years old and you can whip out the concertina,
you're
a
famous.
song, you're the
Famous.
shit.
Yeah.
The fact that you can sit there and even you know, even the little things, you know, the fact that I can sit there and help my grandmother or my mother and make a freaking, you know, bacalhau brage or make all these
Flan.
fancy dish.
Fuck yeah.
Yes, my kids did learn how to make foulade.
Fuck
Glenda
yeah.
enjoyed
Just
cracking on the eggs
yeah.
during this.
Hell yeah.
But those little things that we grew up with, that is our norm, I think because we were first born here and we were surrounded by family, is different, unfortunately. And our kids are already in that. Are my kids as into the chop stuff as I was growing up? No. But it's not their fault. It's not my fault. It's not there as much. The other problem is that when I go to a festa, I want to dance and have fun. And if I have my kids, guess what? I ain't dancing and having fun. So I'd rather I haven't taken my kids to Ludlow since they were out of the stroller. Why? Because then I have to chase them around. And that's not fun. So Ludlow weekend, I do a picnic at my house. I invite friends over and they get to play. The last time I went to Ludlow, the rancho had danced, and I went
Yeah,
by myself.
I remember.
I had so
that was
much
such a good
fun,
time.
and I didn't do anything crazy. I hung out. Oh, I felt bad. I kept apologizing. Poor Joel, man. He
You
kept me
saved Joel.
company.
You saved Joel that day.
me.
That day you saved
yeah,
him.
you did.
And that was. I also, of course, made my
Long
cookies,
shot.
but
That's what
I
she said.
sat there.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, she was literally she was already married, and she's like, "Y'all pretend to be your girlfriend,
Just to make
so you
sure.
won't talk to that broad, dude." Like it got to that point, and I was like,
Broad.
"Yes."
Fucking broad, dude. Unbelievable.
That's teen drama. I'm not in that.
Dude, that was
I'm too
great.
old
That
for
was
that. But
phenomenal.
anyway, but like I went to Ludlow and I had a blast. Whereas when my mom had me at 8 or 9, for her it was different. But
Yeah.
when because I grew up going to, you know, when we were doing La La, remember there was what 6, 7 ranchos dancing
Yeah.
out. It was before they did the whole only 3, and it was an honor to dance. I hated when we danced only because it took so much time, but that's because I have my thing. I won't eat before we dance. You have to rest because of the heat, because it was always the most humid fucking days when we danced, and the rain was after.
That day, yeah, I remember that day when you came by yourself. I remember that day.
Didn't we have like 2 people pass out?
We almost had 2 people pass out because it was so fucking hot, and we were waiting. I think because of the Zarkos was dancing before us, and then
No,
we went.
danced after you guys.
Danced after.
Did you?
Yeah.
But whoever was before us, we were like waiting for we did our lineups, and then we were waiting like 10, 20 minutes, like in the direct sun. We had to move. We had to go underneath like the little.
And remember how tight I used to have to put
Yeah.
my lips on
And
so
I
I
rem-
wouldn't lose it?
All the girls were tight because you would do them all, and then everybody was like, "Fuck it, dude." Everybody was drenched. Everybody was sweating. We were just sitting there, and we were just sitting in the shade, bro. As soon as we got onto the fucking like the Apollo dude, that shit, it was a wrap. That was probably my favorite Sida ever.
Really?
Ever.
Big facts.
Well,
Ever.
I will say I enjoyed it, but I also didn't have my kids,
But-
because
but
normally
that's-
when we're done, I have to sit there
Yeah.
and rush, and I go back, and I am that Portuguese OCD overprotective mom. I will admit
Where my
that.
boys?
So right away, I'm like, I gotta hurry up, change. I gotta take care of the kids, even though Noel can do it, but I'm more like no. But then again, you guys know, you come to my house, you're hungry. I whip up caldo verde. I'll whip up.
fuck it,
How many?
dude.
You've been to my not poor Joey. No, you've been to my house
fuck
a
you,
few
Joey.
times and had caldo.
And
Had
Carmela-
Carmela
you
and
ma-
Jenna.
I'm family, bro, and I'm getting invited, bro.
I know, man. Sorry.
I'm
poor
5
Joey.
minutes away, bro. I don't give a shit.
Well, he wasn't
Shit.
at that point.
I'm
I
like
think you were
40
still
minutes
Waterbury.
away, and
He
I'll still
wasn't-
go to that house.
I mean, you
Fuck
guys
yeah.
have been. You come to my house with last minute. You'd be walking in, and I'm already baking you cookies.
With
You
like-
didn't ask for them, but I'm like, I'll make you something to eat.
Even
Like,
today.
even
you
today,
didn't ask
she
for it,
made
and you
she
brought
made us
cookies.
she made us a whole bag of like the white chocolate chip is like my favorite, and then she made like these drunken like pineapple.
That's so the
Sorry,
mom.
Dave.
Oh my god.
Those cookies are ours.
Facts. Dave Ramos, who's part of the rancho, he always like, yo, where are my cookies, blah blah blah. And then when he would get them, we wouldn't. He would always post it on Facebook and stuff. But now it's like tables have turned right now. dude.
Yeah,
It's
it was
so fucking
it was
good.
cookies and bakis, dude.
Oh my
Every
God!
time we
Yes,
had
I will
Bakis,
say.
oh my
Before
God.
the kids started school, because they didn't have to be in bed late, I will say it was a handful. It was always Marco, Joao, and Shanna, and a handful of times Shayla had come over too.
Yeah.
Every Thursday or every other Thursday, you guys would come over, and it was great for my kids because they were, they got to see you guys, and
Yeah.
it was before they started school.
Made the kid cry.
Which
Yo,
time?
side-
You've
side-
made my kids
side-
cry a few
side-
times.
side
Made
story.
your kid cry
Side- hold on,
because he
side
wanted to
story,
play
side story.
chess checkers.
Oh, because
So
chess. You
poor
made me lose at
so
chess.
so João, me and João went over to Linda's house one day, and they had a chessboard, and then one of the twins, Orlando, he wanted to play like
Chess checkers.
Chess checkers. It's like a mix of chess and checkers. And
He doesn't like to lose.
he doesn't. This kid does not like to lose, and João doesn't like to lose either, even if it's fucking against like a little kid. Bro, my man over here, this guy made this child cry tears of like this kid was so devastated that he's like, I remember it because I took a video of it on my Snapchat. You just see, I don't know what to do, and like he just put his hand over his head, and it was like just so like stressed out. I was like, dude, you're making this poor kid get so stressed out. This is incredible how you're doing. You're like, you're a monster.
As Will Ferrell said, if you're not first, you're last.
Hey, come on, bro. You can't be doing that to a fucking little kid. He's trying to play, and you're like, yeah, you lost, bud.
But
I'm
I
sorry.
Don't
love-
forget,
I
I was
loved
never
him
one
so
of those
very
moms
much.
that always believe that kids need to win the
Participation
game.
award.
Guess what? I have twins, so one of them is gonna lose no matter what. But
that's
man,
true.
that day when he did that, I
Oh,
was
yeah.
just shocked. I was like,
I was
oh
laughing
crap,
so-
what do I do? What do I do?
I was laughing
Linda,
so hard.
Linda in the background, she was just like, "You don't have to win every time."
I mean, I had
And
this
I'm just like,
conversation with you
"Oh, I
know
feel
what?
so
But guess
bad."
what? He got that from me. I am one of those that I am a perfectionist and I am very competitive in spirit.
Same.
So, do I always strive
That's
to?
it. Yeah.
And we all know it. I mean, the way I dance, because I mean, this all started with rancho. I
Yeah.
always perform to do better. I always sit there and say, I don't criticize. I think, like João, we've had lots of conversations, and I'll sit there and I can look. I'm a nobody when it comes down to it. If I critique another group, if you ask me for your honest opinion or my honest opinion in watching, I will give it to you. I don't sit there and watch to be like, you suck. This is what that. I've never been one of those people, because when I was growing up, I had that. People looked at me like, oh, you need to do better. And it's like, you're right. I can do better, but fuck you. There's a way to push someone to do better, and there's a way to criticize them, because the way I look at it, between gossiping and criticizing someone, it's to make yourself feel better.
Yeah,
It's the same reason I always say, has my dancing gone a little bit down or yeah, but guess what? I've had kids, my body changed. I'm close to 40 years old. Let's be honest.
You're 21. You're 21. Stop lying. Stop lying.
Your body goes up and down, just like you're dancing. I'm sure there's times I don't play the concertina anymore. I mean, I learned how.
My
I
arm gets
started
tired
to
as
learn,
fuck, trust me.
but after a while, you just
Her
kind
and
of.
Jeff started at the same time.
Well,
It was you and Jeff, right? That started with Manny?
Jeff wasn't going with you. It was just me going. I would go all the time. And then I hit the age of wanting to start being a girly girl, get my nails done, going out.
And didn't work
so
anymore.
then little by little it stopped. But don't forget, when I was learning concertina, not that it matters to anyone, or I don't do things because of everyone else, it was also before the era where so many females were playing. You would only hear, there was one other female, I think it was either Hartford or Danbury, who played. When I was learning.
She's playing accordion, yeah.
Yeah, but there was one, and
She's talking about Sophia, no?
I don't remember. Like, there wasn't as many females. There wasn't even, I mean, you got, hello, when I was 18, 19 years old, you guys were like, what, 2? So let's face it, you guys weren't even playing it. So,
I was pretending to play.
That's just
I was walking
So
in with
I
my
was
little
learning, but
plastic
then
one.
I was also at that age where when I'm at a festa, guess what? I'm not sitting there on the sidelines playing the concertina. I am dancing.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed dancing. I've always enjoyed the dancing. Rancho, as I think that's what, you know, it happened. I grew up with the rancho. It was a family, so it's a different bond. I know some people are like, oh, I have a life. It has nothing to do with having a life or not. I grew up, think about it, I was 8 or 9 years old when I started in the rancho. By 10 or 11, I was dancing. And at that point, I didn't, like I said, our kids nowadays, or my kids, this generation, they have other activities. I didn't do Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts. I didn't even know what the hell that shit
What is
was.
Scouts?
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't do all those things. The one thing I did have was rancho, and I enjoyed it. And it got to the point where it's not that it was a part of me because I grew up with it. It was my second family.
Yeah.
So I think it is hugely different. And then I think it also comes down to the person. The reason that even you three, or at least me and Jamal, have these conversations, he would look at me. I remember Fabio, when Fabio had started dancing and he was finally comfortable enough to talk to me and ask me, he's like, how am I doing? Because I started recording
It's
videos.
like, shit, Fabio, get the fuck out of here.
I was not recording videos so I can be like, oh, what's that one do? Oh, that one fucked up and this one did. No, I was watching because I am always been one of those people who likes to improve and do better. I don't need to be better than you, than this one, than that one. I only want to be better or as good as I can be. If I'm going to do something, I want to show my pride and do my best. And, you know, and then I think it just came off that it was just a different thing because in the beginning, that's all we did have was rancho. And I grew up with it. So the reason why I'm as committed to rancho is because that's what it literally was a second family. I'll never forget that, you know, a lot of those members, the older ones who sang or played, even if they danced or they didn't dance, they saw me from pre-puberty to teenager to getting married to all of a sudden.
Boom, twins.
I'll never forget Vashko, at that anniversary, he hadn't seen me in a while. And I was sitting on the stage and he looked at me and he goes, why aren't you dancing? Because the fact that I wasn't dancing at anniversary was like, what the hell is wrong? Yeah. And then I stood up and he went, holy shit.
He probably felt so old
He
at
hadn't
that
known,
moment.
and he was just like, wow. And then when I said the whole thing is, I was like, well, it's not that I'm pregnant that I would ever stop, because I had danced at practice and I had done plenty of CE-ish, because I know in October I did a CE that it was my uniform, and at that point I didn't know it was pregnant with twins. So I went from, you know, what a normal pregnant girl at 6-month-old normal. When I was 6 months pregnant, I looked like I was 9 months pregnant. So, you know, and I had 2 big babies, so they were
big boys.
Yes, they were.
Our boys.
I could only do so much, but I still practiced. I still kept going, and everyone was shocked. But they grew up seeing me, and even to this day, I will say it is a different commonality or a different relationship. I have, you know, a different relationship with a lot of the members than a lot of the other people will have, because I was a child and I was little. I mean, 8-year-old, it's nothing. Right. I have, you know, anyone who knows me knows I grew up without a father. I was 7 years old when my father passed away. I had a huge family, don't get me wrong, but that whole, you know, father-like figure, I had one of those, and he was in the rancho. And to this day, I still do get shy, and I've never told him that I looked at not as a father, but kind of like a father figure, and I never wanted to upset him when I danced. Yeah. And a lot of times in the beginning, I will tell you, I danced for him, because he one day pointed me aside and he said, Linda, you're doing so good, because somehow I got, you know, when some kids act up and act bad, they're like, oh, the demon's in you. Well, somehow the rancho spirit got in me. And I was more like, I can push myself a little harder. Yeah. And I remember he pulled me aside and he said to me, he's like, Linda, you're you've improved. Like, I got more comfortable.
Yeah.
And he goes, there's just one thing you had to do. And this was the first person who ever told me. And he goes, all you have to learn is to dance in a line. I was like, what? No one had pointed out to me. And he did that. And after that year, I made sure I'm looking left and right to make sure that I'm dancing in a line. If you watch, you will see I am.
Yeah.
And that's why if I see you, and I've done it with you too, if I've seen you do something, I will pull you aside and be like, listen, just so you know,
Looks
this
like
is
shit.
what. No, I've never said
No,
that.
Fucking
I
suck.
will
Get
tell
outta
you and be
here.
like, oh, this is what you're doing wrong, and this is it. Because a lot of times I find that if you're going into, it's not about a competition. It is about being pride in our culture, and everyone has their ups and downs and bad days and shit CEs or shitty practices where you just don't want to be there. All you need is that one where you're just like, wow. We danced at an old folks home, and it was in 2008. We had danced at an old folks home on Mother's Day. And I know to some people it's like, oh, old folks, no big deal. So that Sunday, it happened to be a family member of my husband's family. And overnight, the woman passed away.
Damn.
Now, we had spent that Sunday, I spent there talking to her daughter-in-law, because I knew her daughter-in-law and her granddaughters. I sat there and talked to her. That Wednesday, I went to the wake. Her daughter-in-law pushed Noelle out the way, which is technically the family member, and was like, do you have any idea what you did in the smile you put on my mother-in-law's face?
That's good.
And I went, you know what? You only need the one time and to be proud. And it is, it is still about having fun and, who you're with and who you're with. Maybe it's because I'm more just like, go with the flow. I don't really mind ups and downs because I started little and I had to prove that I was worthy of dancing because I was little. And at that point, we didn't have as many 8 or 9-year-olds or 10-year-olds allowed to really dance. So I was always, I think that's just me. I'm like, no, I have to prove that I'm not in it just because I'm little. Because I'm sure, Joey, you were one of the youngest ones. It was you and Shanna dancing. I'm sure you danced hard, but how many times did you probably hear the comment, well, you were dancing it because she was your partner, so it looked cute that you were a little couple. You didn't want to fucking be, I'm only dancing. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm only dancing it because of the cute factor? Fuck you. I know what I'm doing. And you had to push. But you had to push yourself harder.
But you know what pissed me off the most is because a lot of people didn't see the work that me and Shanna put in to be able to dance all these songs.
I believe it.
No, because you were part of it. Because the 7:30 practices started with me and Shanna. Because practice would be from 8 to 10 back in the day at the Cape Verdean Club. So John, this is back in the, you guys don't know this is back in the day when we were allowed to park in the parking lot. So John was always the first one there.
Oh, this is before I started helping run practice. I wasn't.
No, because this wasn't anything. So what would happen is that they would me and Shanna from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. I would go to Gil, and if I'm not mistaken, Shanna would go to you. If I'm not mistaken, I know I would go to Gil. So Gil would help me out with a song each Wednesday, from 7:30 to 8, and then at 8 o'clock when practice started, me and Shanna would dance that song. Dude, I remember, craziest part. I don't know if you remember the story when we danced Reitinha for the first time, and Shanna was crying because she didn't want to dance that song. Do you remember that practice? Dude, because like you have to grab people. And
Reitinha is actually, or at least our version of Reitinha is hard because you're grabbing on and you're dancing with literally you have to and that I will say, because if you learned it together, that was the one good thing, is because you're dancing with each other. Me, I get tossed around, which was fine. I got used to it. But João, you would dance with me, and then the next week, and Marco, you would dance. Every girl is different, just like every guy is different. You have to learn.
That's why every time we danced Staki, it was like a lot of.
I loved Staki.
It was like
That's
a lot
because
of.
every
I hate
time,
Staki, our version of it, but it was one of my favorite songs.
Dude, oh my
Dude,
god!
I remember when I think it was Fabio was about to quit.
I got a better slap story.
I think it was either Paula or her.
I got a better slap story.
They found out and they were like,
Must
you know
have been
what?
Paula, 'cause I didn't know
If
he
one
was
of
gonna
us
quit.
get Fabio, dude, slap him as hard as we can.
I wasn't mean, so it must have been Paula.
It probably was. Dude, the best.
I was never the
the
mean one in the group.
The best slap story on the planet is John's wedding. Paula and Roger. Dude, my sister cocked back so hard. So hard. Dude, and all you see is Roger's face like...
Well, because you're not expecting that at a non-CE that.
Bam, bro. Dude, I remember watching that at John's house when he finally got the videos. We put that shit on replay like 15 fucking times. We just kept watching it and watching it and watching it, and it got worse and worse and worse every single time. But again, like, I got that all the time. Like, all these little kids. Like, what are they doing?
You had a passion.
But
You wanted to prove. And Ian, you also had the shadow. Did you not? You were in the shadow of your cousin, of John.
Yeah.
So you were trying to be like, you know, at that point, you're like, no, I am my own. Because after a while, it's like, what do you mean? Oh, I'm so-and-so's cousin. I'm so-and-so. It's like, fuck, you pushed yourself.
For me, it was different, though, because John was always like a role model to me. I've always wanted to be John. I was growing up.
You still wanted to dance. It was okay. Like, how can I rephrase this? It's not that you were in his shadow, but you wanted to be known as Joey the dancer, who is his cousin. Not you're dancing because
you
you're
wanted
his
his own
cousin.
identity, not just be John's cousin.
It's funny because I know John taught a lot of people how to play Constantine. He taught me, including, and then he taught Joey first. And I always saw that because I always saw Joey, and then I always associated Joey with John because I've seen videos of John dancing, dude. I've never seen a guy dance so well like this dude. Like, yo.
That was before smoking days.
And all the iced coffees and all that, and the light and
mullets.
sweets and shit, bro. When
Before being an adult.
Bro.
I mean,
but
working,
when he had,
sitting at a desk, it all adds up.
When he had the mullet, when he had the green fucking fascia, bro. Yo, before I left, bro, I was pushing so hard for him to give me the fucking green fascia, but this man would never fucking give it to me. I was so tight,
I think it was
bro.
like in between you and I.
Yeah.
They were like, yo, let's get that green fascia.
Yo, for real, because like we were watching video, we'd go to Linda's house and she would have like these old videos, and then she was like, "Oh, there's John." I was like, and I would like look, and I was like, "Holy shit!" But I would make that reference when I would see John or if I would see Joey out somewhere. I would always make that reference of YouTube because I knew you guys were like so racial orientated and like the passion for it. So I can understand that John was like the inside of it, and I knew like right after, like there's you, like you're right there, and you're like following his footsteps because then once you left the Bridgeport, you basically went to because of those articles, and then like whatever happened there, you basically came in inside the like years after.
Well, I was never really the inside door. I
But
became director.
But
You
know what I mean. But you still like did that thing, and I think I like that's where I get like the similarities is because you went from like a rancho and then you did your own thing. You went to another rancho and then you basically became like not quote unquote inside there, but you made those efforts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But like that's why I was saying he never wanted to be looked. He didn't have the issue of being like John or you know, because that, like you said, a role model cousin. It was the whole thing of, I'm sure that whole comment of, well, you're only dancing because he's your cousin, or you're only dancing because you're little and you know, you want the little kid couple. It's like, well, no, I'm dancing because I know what I'm doing. And I'm not saying that in an arrogant way, because we all know I can't stand arrogant people, but it's confidence. And no, you want to push and dance because you deserve the right to dance, because you know what you're doing. You're sitting there. It's the same reason that, you know, I can't tell you the number of people I've had, and this was before I was even married, still living with my mom's, rearrange and come over my house to learn rancho.
I wish.
No, this was when I was at my mom's.
There's a video on Joey's
How
YouTube
many times
video
we've
of
had people
Joanne
come over
dancing.
my house now to learn, or up there to learn. You want to watch a video to
I wish
learn?
I did that.
I had no problem, because sometimes, you know, I think we all get.
I remember going to
We
Bridge.
get hesitant. You get nervous, like asking for help. And I've always said, I don't know why any of you motherfuckers were ever intimidated talking to me or asking me for help, because I've never been a mean person.
You're not a mean person, but you are intimidating because of the set of skill that you have dancing. Honestly.
But see, and I don't look at it that way.
No, it wasn't even,
I've just been doing it. I don't know.
It wasn't even like the skill. It was just like the way you like held yourself.
Presented
The way you held
yourself.
the way you held yourself when you were dancing, and like the confidence that I saw John the confidence I saw John have in you. It was like, oh, Linda could do this. Linda can show you. Linda could do this. Linda can bake your side. That's where when you're a little kid, you're like, all right, like she's like a fucking like a god. She's like a god. She's like a goddess over here. So it's like, who the fuck are we? Where we just enter and be like, we don't know shit. Like,
well, that's
I remember it took years. I mean, we would be in the car riding with John, and you wouldn't even talk to me. I was like, we're in the car, and the motherfucker don't say 2 words.
And now look at us.
Saying, like, there was the 7:30 practice, and like. When I joined, she was actually running those to the point that she was like, imagine yourself with a line on the floor and start doing the Vita steps side to side. And I started going with it, and like, don't get me wrong, I was watching videos. So like, I think when I first joined, they had me do, I think it was like Arendinha again, kids song. It was both kids songs. It was Arendinha Vergalho. I think I did Staki, if I'm not mistaken, because I saw it on YouTube. I was constantly watching because I gained such like
I had a YouTube page back then. Yes.
I like to it, but like then he got to the point that I think it was like that was a year. I joined the year after my brother and Charlie, and they ended up asking her for help at like Pica and Canavera de Terry, and I'm just like, all right, since I'm in it, let me go to her house too.
So I'm gonna cut that off because I have one more topic before because we're getting almost that time.
Sorry.
So.
You're good.
I thought you like stopped it.
No, I thought it stopped for a second.
One of the biggest things I think that I've always had an issue with, and probably around the time I left, was how we treated certain songs. And I think you and me, out of the whole thing, I think you and me could probably agree on this, because I think we have very different viewpoints on a lot of things. So after '97, right, we changed the song a little bit. The original, because it used to be called Canaver something. It wasn't Canaver Terry. It was called Canaver. You used to dance in one circle, and Uma and Duas, there was only part. You didn't do the whole other part. It was different. We changed it a little bit a couple years after that. I think after, like, we should have retired that song, like, after 06, 07. Because I think the group we had and the dancers, nobody really knew. The passion wasn't there anymore for that song. I've always had, dude, and you see it in videos where me and Linda, that song starts playing and our shoulders are just bumping because that passion and how we want to dance that song.
We didn't care where we had that last bit of energy had to go.
And for some reason, John used to always put the song fucking second to last. But for somehow, some way, and it's just, I felt like towards like 06, 07, maybe even 08, that we lost a little of the respect of the song. You know, I don't know how you feel about it. That's how I felt. And then it just, I always wanted to dance it, but inside I felt like we never danced it the same.
If you guys are wondering, what is it, Canaver de Terry, right?
Yeah.
It was Canaver de Terry. I only danced it a couple of times because it wasn't, when I was there, they didn't really like play it or anything. I just danced it a couple times. I practiced maybe once or twice at a season, and that's it. But Canaver de Terry, that's the song that they're referring to.
And
just so you know, the background of that song is Terry was a member of our group, and he was a very passionate person. His pride, I used to hear stories of him going to John's house to all hours of the night just to learn. He had 2 left feet when he first started, and if you watch any videos of him dancing, I know that one of the videos I have in Wallingford, you can somewhat see it, but then a year later at an anniversary, you're watching it, you're like, holy crap, what the fuck, this guy knows what he had a passion, and he learned, it was something he enjoyed. And when he had tragically, when he had passed away, I remember we had a sea that was not even I think it was like a month after we danced Jersey. I think it was Jersey. We did have a sea then, we did keep that sea then. It was a little after he had passed. We still did. It was an anniversary because we all knew. I know the whole Portuguese, community in Monterey is, oh no, you're in mourning, you don't do anything, it's disrespectful. But we all knew it would have been more disrespectful knowing Terry and the way he enjoyed dancing. I remember practicing. I was still in the somewhat learning stage. I remember he would sit there and he would bend down to me to make sure that I was okay. And he was one of those that you could be in horrible mood, and if you were with him, next to him, a 2-foot radiance dancing next to him, you were dancing and smiling with him. You were doing anything you could, like you somehow sucked up his sunshine and danced better. He had huge pride and he was proud of, and he wasn't cocky, but if you looked at his progression, he deserved the right to be cocky. Wow. And so we did the anniversary. We had still did that rancho anniversary. I remember that was a crazy see that I remember it somewhat, and because I was young.
We have that on video actually because it was
you recorded it.
It was
Elizabeth.
It was
right?
Elizabeth.
Yes, because they were the ones who danced at our anniversary.
Yes,
they had danced at our 5th anniversary.
We danced,
I remember,
we danced,
as horrible
because
as
the camera sucked. The camera angle sucked.
But
the camera angle sucked because the chandelier. And I remember Gloria announcing the new name of the song.
And we did see, and I remember watching that video, and I remember a handful of us were sitting and doing it because we were nervous.
I think we danced as the entrada, didn't we?
I don't know if it was the entrada because I think we still wanted to do the more silence and do it. But I remember we were all so nervous that we weren't going to be able to give that song the
respect it deserved.
That respect, the pride, the dance, that energy level that it deserved for him. And even then, we couldn't even show him.
Yeah.
And I remember we did that one. We still did the see as hard as it was, but we all knew we had to, because if we didn't do it, it would be more of a slap in his face if we didn't do that. Yeah. And you're right. The problem is a lot of those members are no longer there. So unfortunately to them, it's just another song. And I get what you're saying. I mean, all you need is a handful of people in there who knew, even if they don't know him, but if they knew, like, there's no reason that Marco and Joel, you may not have known him, but if you understand me and Joey, and you understand the importance of the significance of that song and his spirit for the few years he was in it, you're going to dance it because you know us enough to know. The problem is we don't have, there's not as much of the, that, and it sucks to say, it's the same but you know what, what I was going to say is it's the same reason that there's certain songs that you dance it and you dance, like, we have a handful of songs that for some reason is everyone's favorite, or it's this one's favorite, and this
Shula, baby.
Ugh, I hate that song. And you brought it up purposely. I hate that fucking song. I don't know why.
Especially when I would dance with you, I'd always say Shula.
What? As much as I hated Shula, but if I was your partner and I knew it was your song, I still danced. There was a scene that I remember. I was like, okay, we're doing this for Marco. As much as I hated the fucking song, watch my language, I hated that song with a passion for some reason. I don't know why, but I still danced it with pride because, and on top of it, and it wasn't, but I think that also leads to, it's just a difference of personality. I don't go to any CE that or any practice or anything as like, oh, this is a non-important CE that. I look at it as every CE that, whether it's a small one or what, it's an awesome time it's a dress rehearsal, because if you watch Joey's videos of me in the beginning, Joey, I never made my skirt go up or this or that. I also didn't lose my lasso as much, but those little CEs is where you learn, you progress, and you don't have to worry about it. And I guess in me, I just look at things as everything is a place to learn and do better. And the way I look at it is, it's helped. Not that I'm full of myself, because I'm far from it. I think it's helped in the progression of all three of you as dancers, and not dancing as in your dance ability, but I'm hoping I've at least helped you guys in your confidence, 100%. Your passion. Joel has said it to me, and when he had said it to me, he goes, I believe anyone, your partner, any member of the group, or any friends, family you have can bring out the best in you. You should dance everything 100%, whether it's a good partner, because let me tell you, I've danced with anyone and everyone. They sucked. I hated them. I've danced with people who I know have hated dancing with me, which I was like, what?
I'm saying, though, who the fuck would hate dancing with you? Get the fuck out of here.
And whatever, but I don't look at it as, you don't like dancing with me, fine, but guess what? I'm going to do better to be like, fuck you, asshole. Yeah. And I know that may seem like a horrible thing, but that's just me, and I hope that you're not there for everyone else. You're there for yourself. You either enjoy it or you don't. But I also think you need to be better. I don't believe in, maybe because I grew up with it, when I'm in the rancho, it's about me, me, me. I'm not. We've been at Saidas where I'm sitting there somehow with the whole mom Portuguese eyes, with the eyes behind my head in my list. We were at a Saida and someone's fascia came off. I spotted it. I looked at the person and I was like, dude, your fascia.
I know.
Yeah, and I made sure, and I was calling signals, remember? And I waited to call the signal because I knew if he didn't have it, he would have been mortified. Because when I was growing up, there were as many people there helping me, but there was always that one person. I had learned the original Canada Thutieri before it was Canada Thutieri, and I kept fucking up. I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. What am I doing wrong? Someone pulled me aside, and they're like, you're just turning the wrong way. You're supposed to go this way. I went, oh. So I look at it as, okay, all you need is one person there could be 20 members. I don't give a fuck. All I need is, and I do strive to be that person, because that one person helps you,
then they'll help
feel
person.
better.
Yeah,
exactly. It's that whole train effect. And I know, it's just rancho, but I'm like, it's a passion I have in me. And if there's no one there to help you, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
We would have practice, and I remember there was a person who was spinning wrong, and I sat there and watched, and I went, oh, you're doing it because you're going this way and it's this foot. I have no shame in it. And just like, you want to come to my house to learn one-on-one, fine, but be warned, if you're going to my house, no
filter.
I am bitch mode.
Hell yeah.
And I'm going to do it. You want to sit there. The first time I met Luta, Michael, I remember I had, I already had kids, so it's a different story. There's me in mom mode, and then there's not mom mode. And anyone who knows me knows there's mom mode and there's non-mom mode. Usually 90% of the time I am in mom mode. And we sat there. We were at a kid's birthday, my little cousin Alex's birthday party. And we sat there and talked about rancho. And it was fine. We weren't knocking anyone. And I think that is the biggest issue with other groups, or not other groups, but with people. You don't need to be an asshole. You don't need to be that. And we sat there just talking and just, now, mind you, every so often I'd have to stop to go chase after my kids and do this and do that. I have no problem. You want to sit there and talk rancho? Fine, we'll sit there and talk rancho. If that's what you're in the mood to do, we'll talk about rancho. You want to talk politics? That might be a different story. You want to talk about religion? That's a whole different argument. But you want to talk about rancho? Fine, let's go easy, go with the flow. I will not gossip, and I will not knock another group or knock a person just to knock on them. But you want to talk about how growing up with the group or doing this or doing that? Let's do it. Let's go at it. Because you know what? There's still... Not that rancho has to be 100% life, because we're not in a point, work, life, it's not going to be 100% of your life, but there is still a passion. And I think in talking, you can still, I'm not an active Facebook person. I'm not an active social media. I don't talk to
your videos
people.
from like 5 years ago would beg to differ.
Oh, I know. Well, yes, don't forget, what was it? The rancho's 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
Every day for almost a month, I posted videos from,
videos, man.
I know.
Those are awesome.
How embarrassed
Those-
were you guys?
A lot.
I will say one
Who's
of my
embarrassed? I was
I
embarrassed.
enjoyed every
Well,
single
I
I
know,
know-
I know, I was, because she posted a video of when I lost my fight, and I was like, damn. She
Did
exposed
I?
me.
Oh.
I was like, damn.
Well,
she
you know
exposed my ass
what?
like that?
Let me
Fuck.
tell you, for the longest time, I was known as the girl who lost her lenses, so
I was
don't
like,
feel
fuck that,
bad.
dude, she fucking exposing me on shit, but
I'm still waiting for her to post a video with Neil Manel playing.
I don't know if I have it, because it was before I started recording.
That man,
I
bro.
think
Ugh.
I have the one when we danced in Wallingford, but you don't really see him as much.
I just want to hear him. I don't want to see him. I want to hear him.
I'm sure I have it. I just have to figure out how to upload it, because it's VC. I'm talking about like VHS type.
that man's fucking when he used to play Pika, he played kind of a virada. That man's Volta. Oh, dude.
love it. Love it.
And
that's awesome.
fun fact is that he's like family with a lot of people from Camponeros.
Hell yeah.
His daughter is or not his daughter. His granddaughter is married to Manny's brother, Jimmy
Small world.
Moreno.
Wow.
Small
Right?
world.
And I laugh at that. The reason I brought that up is because I laugh all the time when I'm speaking with non-chop people, like my boss,
Yeah.
and they laugh. They're like, "Oh, you Portuguese people are crazy. You know everybody." And I'm like,
Why we don't?
"Yeah." And
Yeah,
it's
small
and
world.
I was like, "It's that whole small community. We know this one." He went to a open house for something for his son, some private school in Westport, and he's like, "I ran into some girl. She knows you." And I said, "What are you talking about? Who is she?" He goes, "I don't remember her name." I said, "What the fuck, dude?" And he's like, "You Portuguese people are crazy. You know everybody." And he started talking to her, and I guess she was there to help, with open house and bringing the parents around. And he couldn't remember her name. She had brought up that she was in a Portuguese dance group, and they all know I'm in a Portuguese dance group. So he goes, "Do you know Linda?" And I said, "Listen, if they're in the Bridgeport dance group,
Everybody
if they
knows her.
don't know me,
There's a
problem. Unless they're non-dancer." I said, "Everyone who's a dancer knows me, because at one point, there's a 75 to 90% chance they've encountered dancing with me, or I've helped do something with them." And he was like, "You Portuguese people are fucking crazy. You know everybody." I'm like, "We do."
Because crazy story with I know we're getting really long here. So Senor
We're
Manel,
talking race. You know it
Senor
could go
Manel,
on forever.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Senor Manel, I want to know if it was his daughter or his son's wedding that they had here in Bridgeport, and the lefty, the player, the lefty. I tell the story all the time. It's fucking hysterical. So he was at the wedding, and I think Fernando told me the story. Jeff's dad, and he's like, "Yo, chegou este gajo no bar. He's like, tá aqui tocador quer tocar." And Fernando had a box, but he had to go home and get the box. He comes back, dude, and this man turns it upside down. Now this guy plays left-handed. Crazy, nasty tocador. Unbelievable. I played with him, I think once, and I was completely mind fucked. I think I stopped playing just to watch. And Fernando saw him flip the thing around, and Fernando fucking grabbed it from him. He's like, "Oh, este fucking caralhinho vai me partir a concertina." And the dude started playing, dude, and Fernando's like, my fucking jaw dropped, bro. This guy just começou a tocar numa cana verde, and my jaw dropped, dude. It was insane. And it's small how it's crazy how small the world is, because now I know all these people. Like, I know Senor Manel's family. I know all these guys
Well,
from Jersey.
you want to hear another small world? His granddaughter that I spoke of, her mother, so his daughter-in-law, is sisters with my great-aunt-in-law. So,
Huh?
exactly. Okay.
Everybody's related.
My
Everybody's
great-uncle,
related.
which is my dad's uncle, my tío Acacio, his wife, my tia Ida, is sisters with Shantae, or Shantae's mom. Shantae's mom's, or
My
yeah, I know,
grandmother's
but
brother's
it's-
sister.
Yeah, I know it sounds more confusing.
Three
but
times-
what
three
I'm
times
saying is-
removed.
What I'm saying is, it's that whole small world. So his son, his daughter-in-law is sisters with my great aunt.
Nuts.
Small fucking world, right?
Small fucking
Moral of the
world.
story: everybody.
Everybody knows
Everybody.
everybody.
Everybody
so
know
as much as we
everybody.
knock
Moral-
it, it's great sometimes to be in
moral
this
the-
community, but sometimes it
Mo-
sucks.
Moral of the
'cause
story: everybody knows Linda.
Facts. Everybody knows Linda.
Someone was from
Hold on,
Cuxos and
hold
was
on.
like, "O meu
Don't
primo é
forget.
aquele, tu casas com ela."
They may not know Linda, but if they don't know Linda, they know one of the 5 uncles, or they know what. I'm like, son of a
fuck
bitch.
yeah.
They're like, I know your uncle. Which one? Oh,
Pick a
you're
pick.
which one? My
Pick alright.
Most of your uncles will basically cook at the church.
Yeah,
for
they'll be
every
like the
event
one who
and everything.
volunteers at the church. Okay,
All
that
of them.
was it.
All of
Which
them.
one,
All
asshole?
of them.
Which one? Oh, it's the. I'm like, hello, a little more detail.
I need
Oh, the one at the
names.
bar. Okay, that's either to you, David, or to you, Tony. Or what about this? And then there'll be ones, and I'm like, you know my to you, Jack? They're like, no, it's King. I'm like, no, that's to you,
Who?
Jack. And I'm like, oh my god.
Oh
So
my
everywhere you
God.
go, I'm like, son of a bitch, they know everyone. I was like, this fucking sucks
You need to
ass.
start showing IDs for you to recognize. them.
Oh my god.
So, John, do you still want to
Sorry.
do your announcement?
Oh,
Then?
Oh
sorry.
yeah, no, I mean that
Oh, I'm getting a little tipsy.
that was actually awesome, dude. It's,
I'm a fucking lightweight.
all right, so as most of you know, the Portuguese club in Hartford a couple of years ago ended up being burned down. I just recently ended up reaching out to a friend from that is a director there. So they're actually having members meet up tomorrow, Sunday. I believe it's this Sunday. I forgot what day it is.
Nice.
I believe it's March 28th.
28th.
Yeah. So they're having a live stream, which the members itself are actually going to decide whether they're going to continue reconstructing the club or if they're going to end up selling, finding another place. So they want to make sure all the associates have a say into it, where they'll decide on whether to keep it or not. They're still accepting donations. They're still accepting word to mouth to become a member. They ended up sending me their information. If you look up HartfordPortugueseClub.com, you could become a member online and help to a greater occasion. Obviously,
21st century man technology. You can
Absolutely.
be a associate of a club by internet.
and that's great. So
Everything is by internet this past year.
So the presentation will inform our the members to all the current options with the mix of rebuilding and current location and purchasing and new location altogether. Now this is Jonathan Seguro. He's the director of the club. So if you have any questions, you could email him at portclubhartford@gmail.com. So take your time and become a member. Help that community a lot in Hartford, and hopefully the club will continue in the rancho and all that stuff.
Yeah, hopefully.
So
Well, that's gonna end our show, Linda. I really appreciate. We really
You
appreciate
just wanted
guys.
the cookies.
No,
That's what
well,
she
I
said.
was actually,
And the straw.
I was like,
the strawberries and the
I was
pineapple.
low key. I was like, I really hope she brings strawberry cookies. I was like,
You were
fuck.
hoping?
I was.
I was already expecting.
What
her
are
to
the
make
odds?
cookies.
I only felt bad trying to figure out which ones to make. I was
Oh,
like,
dude, you
fuck,
can make
but
it-
Joey
bro.
likes the peanut butter
You can make whatever cookies, dude. I'll
I'm
fuck
like,
She
you.
I
should have
think-
catered to me since I haven't
Send
had
us
them in
some
like
squisitas
3 years.
there.
I know they've been to my house numerous times, and
Yeah.
I've fed their asses numerous.
Damn right. But we really we want to thank you for coming on.
No problem.
It was we could fucking talk for hours on end about the rancho.
Oh, I still had more to talk about.
Dude, who knows?
Sorry.
Maybe
She-
eventually
she can
throughout
come back.
the
She
years
can come
we're
back.
gonna have a part 2 of this. And
You can come back. We really appreciate you coming, guys. Check out our YouTube channel. It's Tasca Lusa. Subscribe, like, comment on the video. Let us know what we could do better. What you guys like, what you don't like.
check
yeah.
us out on Spotify.
Yeah,
Anchor.
this will be out on Spotify pretty fast, pretty quick. Yeah, and we really appreciate all the support we've been getting, all the feedback we've been getting as well. And I hope you guys stay tuned for the next episode.
Because solo son gaña.
Yeah,
For this.
Portugal.
Peace out.
Thank you.
Later.
Linda. Appreciate it.